Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video, and this is another basketball reaction, and this is my fourth recording today. I don't know what it is, something's came over me, and now I really just want to do loads of videos. Like, I'm trying to do like most of the random videos from different sports, because I just want to mix it up, and I've just got the urge to do it out of nowhere, and it's probably good, because if I can do a few videos in advance, if it like comes to the point where I'm a bit busy with doing things, or just I'm not feeling great, I've got videos that could like leave me with that leeway of not feeling bad of not having videos up. And saying that, it's been a long time. I've realised it's been a very, very long time since I've done a Michael Zemba video, and he was the guy my channel was initially sort of like ran on. Like, I did most of my early videos on his videos basically. I did reactions on his videos, and I really enjoyed them. Like, again, I don't know how people's opinions on his videos are, but I do really like his channel. And if you want any more like videos on him, let me know like what videos you'd like to see basically, because again, it's been a very long time. And the video is the almost deadly punch that the NBA wants us to forget. And that's the thing, like, it's just random events that again I've probably never heard of that I'll see in this video. I remember my first ever basketball video was the Malice at the Palace by Michael Zemba, and that's an old video, so if you want to see that, click the link in, not link in the description, just search it up, literally search the Malice at the Palace, and then just search my YouTube channel name, Lavish Luca, Malice at the Palace, it will come up. And yeah, that was my first ever reaction to basketball. Like, I had no clue about the sport really, that was before I actually started reacting to the sport. It was just ages ago basically. And if it seems a bit cringy, it's because the quality was awful. I was still like new to this sort of YouTube stuff, and I was not very confident basically. But anyway, that's just further ado. This video, I'm excited to see this. Like, I like these sort of dark secret type videos, or however you want to put it. They're just quite interesting. Again, it's not focused on the sport necessarily. It's just like a random event that happened. But if you do go on to enjoy this video, leave a like. It is really appreciated. But yeah, let's check this out. And wait, where does he show his face? Let's just see.
And yes, today's video is a very sensitive
Whether I'd have to move my camera or not.
subject matter. However, on this channel, I love talking about NBA history. I love teaching people about NBA history, and this subject is definitely a huge part of NBA history. The reason I say this is that while this is the deadliest punch the NBA has ever seen, it also was a punch/fight that started a movement that ended up basically turning the NBA from a league that glorified fighting to a league that just would not tolerate it.
Oh, wow.
Without this punch, I'm sure some other horrible incident would have happened. However, this punch is what caused a huge NBA anti-violence movement, and so I think you guys should know as much as you possibly can about it.
It's a big time in the history of the sport,
then. You guys should
then.
know as much as you possibly can about the NBA in the 1970s. Because in the 1970s, the NBA was nothing like it was today. Because back in the late 1970s, the rules when it came to fighting were not at all like they are now. In fact, when it came to fighting, the NBA was basically a free-for-all, as in 1977 alone, there were 41 official fights recorded, a number that included a fight between Maurice Lucas and Daryl Dawkins on national television during Game 2 of the NBA
Oh my
Finals.
god! Did you see how he got slammed there? Are you mad? They're playing UFC.
A number that included a fight between Maurice Lucas and Daryl Dawkins on national television during Game 2 of the NBA
Oh my
Finals.
god!
This fight, as you could see, looks kind of funny, but was very serious and only resulted in each player being thrown out of this game. There was a fine, but there was no other suspension. If you need or just want more proof as to how bad the NBA's fighting culture had become, let's just take a look at several quotes from Sports Illustrated's NBA preview for the 1978 season, because amazingly, this preview was based around NBA enforcers, as SI chose 6 players they deemed to be the top enforcers of the league, and described each player in the article the way you would describe a boxer. Fitting.
But that's the thing, like, you may laugh at, I say you may, some people may laugh at this, but these are big guys. Like, to someone like me, someone who's not the tallest of people, 5'10", wink wink, like someone like, they would like probably just one punch would just spark me out, because obviously the weight difference, etc. These are 6'10" men, some of them, some are taller, fight each other. Whether they're fighters or not, they're like if they connect, that can cause some serious damage, man.
Kermit Washington, the man who would throw the punch that almost killed a man that very season, was featured as an enforcer, and his profile read as, Kermit Washington is a nice, quiet person who lifts weights and sometimes separates people's heads from their shoulders. In one memorable game last November in Buffalo, Washington ended an elbow skirmish with John Shoemate by dropping the 6'9" forward with a flurry of hooks and haymakers. Shoemate came apart in sections, an eyewitness said. Yeah. Also included in this article were gems such as a profile of Calvin Murphy that said, last November he got angry at Boston's 6'9" Sidney Wicks, leaped to grab a piece of Wicks' afro with his left.
I am shocked. Like, I know sports changed, like all sport in general has changed, like basketball, American football, all sports, like they used to be a lot more brutal in terms of like fighting was allowed. It was a lot more rough, but like I did not know it was this mad. They literally just punch each other so unprovoked. I mean, I feel like that was a retaliation to something that happened to him beforehand. But man, this is insane. I'm liking this video a lot. I'm gonna stop pausing as much. I'm just finding this really interesting.
And with his right hand housered Sidney's face into a bloody pulp. Moving on, this article stated, former Lakers general manager Pete Newell saying, quote, enforcers are vital. Basketball is not a non-contact sport. You have to have someone out there who loves contact and is willing to keep order. And if that wasn't enough, the man who had just fought in the NBA Finals, Daryl Dawkins, was quoted as saying, like about 30 million other people, I admire Muhammad Ali. That is the way I'm going to be this year. Yup, in the late 70s, we had NBA players comparing themselves to boxers openly, and this was okay. And while all of this was certainly crazy, at this point in the video, it is time to talk about the actual punch that would change NBA history forever.
How
This
brutal
incident
justice
would
system.
take place on December 9th in a game that featured the Houston Rockets and the Los Angeles Lakers. In this game, Rudy Tomjanovich would start off red hot, and by the beginning of the second half, he already had 19 points and was looking to score more, which meant when the Rockets came down with a rebound, Rudy took off down the court in search of an open jumper. Unfortunately though, Houston Rocket Kevin Kunert and Los Angeles Laker Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had other plans, as the two began to shove each other after Kunert pulled down the rebound. However, at first it appeared that no fight would take place, as Kunert would break free of Kareem and started to head down the court. Seeing this, Kermit Washington grabbed Kunert's shorts from behind in an attempt to slow him down. This was obviously a dirty move, and it was also a move that would cause pure chaos, because when Kermit grabbed his shorts, Kunert responded with an elbow, and from there, Washington's natural instincts took over. Now looking to fight Kunert, Kermit would throw a first punch that would miss and a second that would connect directly with Kunert's face, due in large part to the fact that Kareem was holding both of Kunert's arms behind his back. Now, Kareem would claim that he was attempting to stop a fight from taking place, and surprisingly, Kunert
so you can't fight this
backs
2-on-1 basically.
So we can only assume Kareem did have good intentions here. Unfortunately, Kareem's actions would result in Kunert getting punched in the face, and from there, Kunert's teammate, Rudy Tomjanovich, would jump to action. Not a fighter, Rudy would run towards Kermit in an attempt to break the fight up, later recalling, quote, all I knew was one of my guys was in trouble. It was this sprint, however, that would end up becoming the first of two ingredients for the deadliest punch the NBA.
So the punch hasn't happened yet.
The second ingredient, of course, was Kermit Washington's punch. A punch that Lakers assistant coach Jack McKinney would later describe as, quote, the greatest punch in the history of mankind.
Wow.
This was not a compliment, it was more of a horrible observation. The reason I say this is, as Rudy ran towards Kermit's back, Kermit had no idea what Rudy's plan was. All he knew was that a giant athlete was sprinting at him in full
so the
force.
speed of him coming towards
I saw
you.
a blur of red. I grew up in the streets. You learn there that if you're in a fight and someone is coming up from behind you, you swing first and ask questions later. So, sticking with his instincts, Washington would turn around and caught a sprinting Rudy with a punch in the face. And almost instantly after this punch connected...
Oh, you know that's... Oh, mate. With him coming towards you at that speed... Oh, mate. That's mad. And this is in slow motion as well.
The crowd would fall silent in what Houston player Mike Newland called the loudest silence you have ever heard. Immediately, Rudy fell to the ground holding his face as a pool of blood formed around him. Kareem would compare the sound of the punch to someone dropping a melon on a concrete floor, and honestly, the end result of this punch was actually that harmful, as looking up at the ceiling from the ground, a dazed Rudy would actually ask his trainer if the scoreboard had fallen on him. Later, the impact of this punch would be scientifically compared to the equivalent of a person being thrown out of a moving car.
That's what I mean, because of him running towards him, like the sort of connection must have been 10 times like what it should have been.
At 50 miles per hour, everyone in the arena knew right away that things were very serious, and so Houston's medical staff quickly got Rudy both off the floor and to a hospital. And at the hospital, it was determined that this punch had both caused Rudy's back teeth to stick together and had resulted in so much damage that spinal fluid was dripping down his throat. Doctors immediately pushed him into surgery in order to save his life, and Rudy's doctor would later say that in Rudy's condition, quote, with good medical care administered quickly, patients in his condition will usually pull through. Anything less and you lose them. Horrifying words for a horrifying situation. Luckily though, for everyone involved, Rudy would pull through, but after the surgery took place, again, his doctor would emphasize just how much damage this punch had done, stating that putting Rudy's skull back together was similar to putting the broken pieces of an eggshell back together. And in a move that really shows us the type of man that Rudy Tomjanovich is, after he was officially cleared by doctors and told he was going to survive this horrible experience, Rudy's teammate, another Sports Illustrated enforcer Calvin Murphy, would call Rudy at the hospital and basically told Rudy that he was going to get Kermit Washington if it was the last thing he did. And despite the fact that Kermit Washington had just put him in the hospital, ruined his basketball career, and almost cost him his life, Rudy's response to Calvin was immediate. No, he would tell him, Murph, you gotta make me a promise that you won't start anything tomorrow or the next night or with any of the Lakers next week. In response, Calvin would try and say, but Rudy, and immediately Rudy cut him off, saying, promise,
fair play,
Murph,
man.
promise. Years later, Calvin Murphy would look back on this story and cry, putting things into perspective by saying, quote, think about it. The man is in the hospital. He's in terrible shape. He has no idea what's going to happen to him, and he's worried about me. Every place we went the next few weeks, I couldn't get that out of my mind. Because as you can see, even immediately after someone had committed a horrible act against him, Rudy wanted no part of retaliation. In fact, in an interview with Rudy in 2017, he would actually say that he felt sorry for Kermit because of all the horrible things that Kermit had to live through after almost killing a man. And yes, when we look back at both Kermit and Rudy's life,
if he had killed him, just obviously, thank God he didn't, what would the repercussions have been? I'm guessing it would have been seen as like manslaughter, maybe? Because obviously he didn't want to kill someone, but if you do, like, I'm guessing he'd have been like locked up. He would have been, wouldn't he? What were the repercussions anyhow? Like, did he get suspended from the league? Did he get jail time? Like, because surely it must have been, and maybe he'll touch upon it like with the last few minutes, but surely it could have been like something like something serious like that.
After this punch, we find that both men would never be the same. A four-time All-Star before the punch had taken place, Rudy would incredibly return to the court the next season, again in All-Star form. However, it was soon obvious that he was not the same player, and just 2 seasons later, he was forced to retire and eventually would sue the Lakers and was rewarded $3.3 million in compensation. As for Kermit Washington, well, as soon as people saw the footage of this punch, he became one of the most hated men in America. Finally, his enforcer image had gone too far, and because he had nearly killed a man, he would face several repercussions. The least of these would be the 60-game, 26-game suspension and $10,000 fine given to him by the NBA. What was then the longest on-court suspension in NBA history. I say this was the least of the repercussions he faced because, due to the fact that the video of this punch was shown time and time again on news stations across the country, fans would turn on Kermit in a way that the NBA had never seen before. Not only was Kermit booed everywhere he went,
wow,
but he and his family would also receive countless death threats that remained a constant reminder of the worst mistake he had ever made. And adding on to this, Kermit's punch would be the jolt the NBA needed to make massive changes to their views when it came to fighting, which meant that Kermit Washington would become the poster child of the NBA's anti-fighting agenda. And honestly, after looking into his career after the NBA, I don't blame people for disliking him. Now, this in no way means that I think the death threats were justified, not at all. However, since the punch, the victim, Rudy Tomjanovich, has gone out of his way to make it clear that he forgives Kermit. Despite this, Kermit has by many accounts tried to make himself out to be the victim of this situation and has been caught lying several times in an attempt to gain sympathy. Several of these lies would pop up in a story published by the New York Times. A story in which Kermit claimed that because he was viewed as a public enemy, he had 1, been denied from every single coaching job he had ever applied for, and 2, that his own college, American University, wanted nothing to do with him.
That's your fault though, isn't it, man? Like, although you didn't mean to, like, well, I mean, you kind of did, you kind of didn't. Like he said, from how he grew up, it was sort of like an instinct, but you still did it. You still got to take charge of what you've done there. Like, it's not like it's an out of body experience. You're the one who still committed that sort of. You're the one who controlled yourself in that scenario. So I mean, to play the victim's kind of mad, especially when you've put someone else in hospital and he's tried to stop. He's sort of stuck up for you in certain situations, and you're still trying to sort of pin the blame, or not even like, it's kind of like he's pinning the blame on the guy who got punched in a sense, which is kind of crazy.
Proved by John Feinstein, a man who wrote a book on this entire incident. As Feinstein pointed out, that Kermit Washington had been hired twice as a coach. Once by Tom Davis
so that's not even true.
Then by the Portland Trailblazers as a part-time strength coach. As for American University wanting nothing to do with him, well, in the school's 2002 media guide, there are 2 whole pages dedicated to Kermit Washington. On top of this, the athletic director at the time, Tom George, constantly made it clear that Kermit was more than welcome to be a part of the school whenever he felt like it.
So what he said was just not true there.
To ignore all of this and instead focused on the fact that when he applied to be the school's athletic director in 1995 with no experience, he was turned down and instead offered a job as an assistant so he could work his way up. In response to this, Kermit would say, quote, "I didn't see why I couldn't be the AD so they could use my name out front and then have someone with more experience be my assistant." And after that Times article was posted, Kermit's victim mentality only grew. As amazingly, in an act of pure ignorance, Kermit attempted to sue the NBA for $5 million for the injustice that Kermit has dealt with for the last 23 years. Unsurprisingly, the NBA declined to pay Kermit, and this case did not even make it into a court. A case that did make it into a court, however, was the case of Kermit Washington stealing $500,000 from a charity that worked with kids in...
So this guy is just an absolute clown. He is an absolute... I thought this would have sort of worked out, like he would have sort of fixed the public's view on him, basically. He would have changed his actions. He would have sort of become a better person. Oh no. It's just getting worse and worse. Jesus.
Africa. Yes, the end of this video and Kermit Washington's story for now is actually that in 2018, the man would be sentenced to 6 years in a federal prison for charity fraud. What a guy. And there we have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something.
What an end to the video.
This was a very sensitive subject matter, and usually we don't deal with subjects this dark on this channel. Again, though, this was a very important moment in NBA history, and
this was mad. Like, the punch itself was crazy, but then the whole sort of backstory after, and how he just did not help himself. He stole from a charity, bro. Are you mad? This guy speaks with caps on. I've never seen that before. 30 years later, yes, that'd be the finally forgot. Oh, these comments get me, bro. Oh, doing this video to show you from the fact that Mr. Krabs. I did never watch SpongeBob. That's probably gonna piss people off. Never watched SpongeBob. Well, I've watched like a few episodes, so I won't even understand that. Meet Gilbert Arenas, the guy who nearly ended a man's career with one 40 cal pistol. For God's sake, wait, is that true? Is that true? I probably shouldn't laugh at that, because if that's the thing, probably just a meme that I'm gonna get memed out now for thinking that's serious. 1970s. Let's just call that NBA free for all. Yeah, sports changed a lot over time for sure. Like, the whole physical aspect is definitely got less physical. And that's not to say the sport. That's not to say the sport isn't like it isn't still like a physical like you don't like. There's still physical aspects to it, but from where it was, and that's not just basketball. All sports in general, they've definitely got lighter in a sense. And maybe it's for the right thing, because when scenarios like this happened, like it's not a great thing to happen, is it? Like if that was happening nowadays, I can't imagine that outroar that the internet would have and people would have to it. But this is an interesting little video, to be fair. I don't know if it's one that people will enjoy, but it was just, for me, it's something that I'm actually interested in getting back into, because I do really enjoy Mike Kozemba's, I don't know if I say his name right, Mike Kozemba, let's just say that. I do like his content, and like the random stories that he goes into. If you want more from him, let me know, because I'm definitely down to do more reactions to him. But until next time, like, subscribe, peace.